Just waiting for the prompt to say we're on record. I can see it now, I think. Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining. Appreciate those who joined early. Apologies, because you probably had to go through our little bit of administration to make sure we all knew what we were doing. It's always that enthusiasm where people see the admit in the lobby button and can just press it, even though that wasn't probably something we want to do. Thanks for joining today. Looks like a cracking day across the region for us. This is a series of events we're running for employers linked to further education colleges, local authorities, chambers and local enterprise partnerships. Hopefully you all looked at the pre-materials in terms of what we are trying to achieve today in terms of better awareness around a Kickstart programme for Job Centre Plus. We've got a number of stage presenters who are going to come through in sequence, talking about the opportunities, and then equally talking to host employers who've already experienced what the benefit that Kickstart brings to them as an organisation, and also for the young people that are placed with them. I just want to reiterate the session is recorded, so if anybody wants to make a statement, they need to be aware of that. We will also be posting this video subsequently on YouTube, so that other individuals who haven't had the opportunity to access today will be able to join. The Combined Authority feel honoured to be hosting these sessions with our partner Job Centre Plus and our key stakeholders that also join us at the same time. So what we like to do is offer a Q&A session at the back of these sessions, but you don't have to wait. If there's any burning questions you need to ask, please put them in the chat, because ideally for us, what we'd want to do is just run through the presenters and give as many opportunities at the end for question and answer and debate and discussion. If we get to a point where your question is unanswered and we run out of time, what we will do is offer up written responses to everybody after the event, and equally any employer who would like an account manager allocated to them to progress Kickstart inquiries, that will be given to you as an opportunity as well and be posted in the chat as the session runs through. So without further ado, I think we bring on experts to the domain and invite in Nick from the Colleges West Midlands Group.
Thank you, Sean. Hello, I'm Nick Thompson from Dudley College of Technology, but this afternoon I'm very privileged to be speaking on behalf of all the colleges that form Colleges West Midlands. So obviously the event today is about Kickstart, but my job is just to make sure that everyone's aware that your local college has a much wider offer available to your business. And I've just been asked to run through these options for you. So hopefully you can see a slide on the screen, which will show you what this offer is. So let's talk about apprenticeships first. Apprenticeships, I think we all understand, and certainly if you've got an apprentice, you'll realise that apprentices are really high value employees, and there is a fantastic range of apprentices to choose from, apprenticeships to choose from. There are literally hundreds of different apprentices, and across the region you will, I'm sure, find an apprenticeship which suits your business within travelling distance of your organisation. It's also important to know that at the moment there's currently up to £4,000 in incentives available if you hire a new apprentice between now and the 30th of September and get them enrolled. There's up to £4,000 available. That's £1,000 of existing incentive payment, but there's a £3,000 COVID recovery payment, up to £3,000. There's a £3,000 COVID recovery payment available as well. And you can use that obviously to offset the cost of employing an apprentice. And all of the colleges represented across the region will offer you a free recruitment service. So talk to your local college and they'll be able to help you with that. Larger businesses who pay the apprenticeship levy will obviously pay for the cost of training through their levy, but smaller businesses also, there's funding available to cover the cost of training up to 100%, and in most cases no less than 95% of the cost of training is covered.
You've gone on mute, I think, Nick.
I don't know how that. When did I go on mute? Sorry.
Easy.
Did you get as far as the funding of the cost of apprenticeships?
Yeah. Great.
Well, I was just saying, in addition to that, the combined authority and local colleges work hand in hand on what has been an incredibly successful levy transfer scheme put in place by the combined authority, where they're enabling large employers who've got excess levy funding to channel that towards small local smaller companies across the region, particularly focusing on manufacturing, engineering, digital and construction apprenticeships. So again, talk to your local college about that. Also, one final thing, don't forget you can use apprenticeship funding money to upskill your existing staff as well. So really important to remember that. Another scheme that's of great interest is the SWAP, as we call it, the sector-based work academy programs. And these are absolutely great if you want to bring a group of staff into your business. There are a wide range of swaps running across the region, everything from warehousing to tram drivers, and JCP Plus will recruit a pool of candidates for you. They'll put in place a training program which is basically designed in conjunction to meet your needs, and this can include ticketed items. So if in your industry you've got some particularly ticketed training, that can be included. All the participants that the job centre recruits can remain on benefit. So there's in fact no direct cost to you of a sector-based work academy programme. The idea is, however, your one commitment must be to offer everyone on the programme an interview, because they then benefit from having that experience. They get the benefit of the training and the benefit of the interview experience. But then at the end, you can pick the cream of the crop as your future employees, and then you might enrol them onto a Kickstart program or an apprenticeship. So swaps are great. Swaps into Kickstart are very, very popular. You'll see that your colleges will offer lots of pre-apprenticeship and work academies. Colleges will to put in place pre-apprenticeship training just for you. We've run an engineering summer program where we've recruited school leavers, put them through an intensive pre-apprenticeship program in the summer, and then invited employers in again to meet them in the workshop, usually with a view to taking them on as apprenticeship. So that's an example of one of the schemes available. I should mention industry placements and T-levels. T-levels are now live across the region. It is a new national qualification. It was launched, well, the first T-level student started in September 2020, and it's T-levels offer basically a high-quality technical option that sits alongside the academic route for 16 to 19-year-olds. So T-levels are like A-levels, but for people with more vocational technical roles. One of the unique elements of a T-level is something called an industry placement. Now, this is work experience. This is not the work experience I did, which was spending a week photocopying in my mum's friend's office. This is a really meaningful 45-day, 315-hour work placement, and it's ideal for you as a business if you've got a project you need extra hands to help with. Our students have designed websites, done all sorts of things. All you have to do is provide a workplace mentor, give them proper supervision in the workplace, and there's currently £1,000 available to everyone, every business that offers a T-level learner an industry placement. There's also a wider group of learners who are doing BTECs who are also looking for placements, and there's up to £750 available for your business for each one you take. So you're doing something good. You're helping young people have a really positive introduction to your sector. You may at some point decide one of those people will be an apprentice of yours, but you're doing them a lot of good, and there's a bit of cash available at the same time. Almost nearing the end of my list, just to mention traineeships. Traineeships are education and training for 16 to 24-year-olds. The idea is that you're preparing them for work, so it's a workplace with training. This attracts up to £1,000 per trainee, and you as business can take on up to 10 trainees. You don't have to pay them. And again, a very high proportion of trainees transfer onto apprenticeships thereafter. Talk to your local college. They can help you find these people in conjunction with the job centre. And last but not least, if you visit your local college's website, you'll see there'll be a strong offer for part-time courses. Again, working with the combined authority, if you're 19 or older and you live in the combined authority area, these courses are fully funded, which in real world means you don't have to pay for them. It's a great way for your staff to acquire skills. We run lots of different courses. There are lots of different methods of delivery. Some are remote, some involve tutor contact, some involve self-driven work, but a great way for your staff to upskill. So again, talk to your local college. In summary, your colleges are there to serve you and the local business community. We have lots and lots of things we can do for you. We'll work really hard to find the right combination of funding and training for you. Just please give your local West Midlands college a shout. Thanks a lot. It's back to you, Sean.
Thanks, Nick, and hopefully you'll find that of interest. Appreciate a lot of employers will already have some level of contact on some of those issues, but what we hope is from a college's West Midlands perspective, you have a group of 20 colleges there with ready access to the information across all suite portfolio activities. So hopefully there will be something of interest where you need a bit more. So now we move on to our colleague from Job Centre Plus, DWP, Richard, who's going to tell you a little bit more about the Kickstart programme. Thanks, Richard.
Cheers, Sean. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks very much from me and my colleagues for taking the time out of your day to join this call. My name's Richard Smith. I'm the West Midlands Group Partnership Manager for DWP. Interesting, Nick, you were talking about work experience there and photocopying. There must be a theme going here, because I remember back in 1981, I spent a day at Dudley Town Hall doing exactly the same thing. And I came back home and I said to my mum and dad, there's no way I'm going to work. No way I'm going to work in an office.
Kickstart program, they were doing a webinar.
We are. But then in 1981 in September, I joined the civil servants service and I haven't looked back since. So maybe somebody else has got a work experience anecdote to share this afternoon. But I think from my point of view, that time when I was a young person, I didn't really know what it was I actually wanted to do. So what I'm going to try and do this afternoon in the brief time that I've got is to give you a view of the potential route to recruitment for yourselves in terms of jobs that you may want to go down. Kickstart is undoubtedly the biggest vacancy filling programme we've seen. And the fact that it's fully funded and supported by government money makes it really unique. What myself and my team really want to do with this with you is to hide some of the wiring from you as employers and think about how you may form a pathway for a young person to find their way back into work and for you to hone yourselves a really useful addition to your workforce. As we unwind from the pandemic, the issues of work for young people who are undecided about their next steps is a key factor for us from an economic point of view, but also from the perspective for many people, this may be their first step into the world of work. And as employers across the West Midlands, your support's really critical for us in meeting those aspirations. And COVID has impacted hard on the young people. The claimant count for West Midlands Group remains 83% higher than it was in March 2020. And the unemployment rate for 18 to 24-year-olds in the West Midlands is 13.8%, compared to a rate of 5.9% for all working age people. And it's the second highest youth unemployment rate in the UK, behind London. So that's really stark. I want to talk a little bit about business as usual for DWP, because the past 16 months have been very much anything but that. But from the 12th of April, and in line with the government roadmap, we began to bring customers back into our offices. And from the beginning of June, all young people in the universal credit intensive work search regime. So that's basically anybody, a young person 18 to 24 who's able to work and should be working, are receiving their interventions with a work coach on a face-to-face basis. Now that's really important, because in order for us to make this work, we know the real route to engagement is by face-to-face contact. We can see 30,000 people on a face-to-face basis a week in the West Midlands, even with the current social distancing restrictions, and that drives up our focus on jobs first. So that face-to-face focus is so important, because it's the key to our delivery in preparing young people for the jobs that are being created through the Kickstart programme. And as Nick said earlier, we join forces with our college partners, NCS, other organisations, to prepare young people for these roles, so that we can collectively look to get the right candidate for you. Up till April this year, it's been very much a virtual and remote engagement exercise, which has had its place, but it won't replicate the face-to-face activity that gets us the results. And we want you as employers to be part of that. Interviewing and engaging with young people on our job centre sites over the past 6 weeks has given us a real step change in start numbers, and we now really want to build on that. So Kickstart Jobs, the aim of the programme is to improve the employability and the chances of sustained employment for those at risk of long-term unemployment in the 16 to 24-year-old age group. Basically, it provides a fully funded placement to employers. It lasts for 6 months. It supports the creation of new jobs that otherwise wouldn't necessarily exist. And there's also a £1,500 upfront payment for setup costs and to support the skills and employability support that young person will need. So you can enter into an arrangement directly with DWP or through one of the many gateways across the West Midlands who will support your application. But my colleagues will go through this following on from my input. All that we ask here for is your help in making these young people more employable, either for you at the end of the placement or to make their next move into the world of work an easier one. There's no compulsion for an employer to retain the young person at the end of the placement, but clearly we'd really like to make that happen, because that's good for you as an employer and it's good for the West Midlands economy. We've got something like 12,000 jobs agreed for West Midlands, but our aim is to fill 20,000 in the combined authority area alone. To date, we've filled just over 3,500 vacancies. So there's a blunt message here. We need to bring in more jobs from employers such as yourselves to make that a reality. And we only have until December to make that happen. The last Kickstart placements will commence sometime during December. So I'd really welcome your vacancies at the earliest opportunity. So as Nick said, the route to filling these Kickstart jobs can also be supported. We look look at your interest as an employer from the outset. And I know as employers linked to our West Midlands colleges, they'll be looking at the employability and additionality that will be provided for the young person during the life of their placement. And you know, colleges around the West Midlands, please, you know, use them to lean on as employers, because they have the expertise and the delivery acumen to really make that happen. Nick mentioned our sector-based work academies. Essentially, it's a pre-employment programme that's been operating successfully now for some years, used to prepare somebody for an interview with an employer in a particular sector, and in conjunction with yourselves, we arrange that programme, agree the entry-level requirements, and in conjunction with a skills provider, set up the programme and deliver it with your involvement. We do ask that you guarantee an interview for those that complete the programme, but it's a great way to get a person tuned in to what your particular need is as an employer. So, and that's a great programme as a precursor to a Kickstart job. And they're a great way to get the recruitment focused on the type of individual you're looking for. Clearly, we would want to talk to you about your aspirations here, and we'd need your support in enabling us to find the right person who at the point of entry may not tick all of the boxes in terms of your usual requirements for a, if you like, a churn vacancy. But this is all about shaping your potential future workforce, and using a pre-employment programme and Kickstart could really make that happen. Of course, further down the road and potentially after Kickstart, Nick mentioned there may be a real opportunity to move that young person into an apprenticeship programme supported again by your local college. The 6-month placement will have hopefully moved that young person into a position where you could successfully move them onto a higher stage of learning. And at that point, of course, they'll be used to the working practices of your company and have proved themselves as a reliable employee. I don't intend to go into the finer details of all of that, but I hope at least as employers you can see what a potential pathway to employment might look like from a recruitment process through the sector programme, the Kickstart placement, and then potentially an apprenticeship. What I can say is that you'll be supported along this route to make it happen. I'll get one of my team to drop our West Midlands inbox details into the conversation bar, so that we can pick up any discussions around what I've spoken about today and what my colleagues are now going to talk about in terms of making the Kickstart process actually happen for you. So thanks for listening. I'll hand over now to Anne and Lou, who are going to give you the options you have in engaging within the Kickstart process. Anne, Lou.
Yeah,
cheers.
thanks, Richard. Yeah, I'll pick this up. So if we can just get the video just ready for upload, and I'll just do a little bit of background, and then we'll play a minute of the video. So before we start, it's probably helpful if I just introduce myself and Lou and Charmaine, and just tell you briefly what our roles are. So yeah, I'm Anne Gemmell, so I'm the Senior District Kickstart Account Manager for Birmingham and Solihull, and Lou Thompson will come on in a moment and be talking a little bit through the slides about Gateway. She's the Senior Kickstart District Account Manager for Mercia. Charmaine Gateskill's also on the call today, and she's a Kickstart Employer Advisor within Mercia. I'm not sure actually if Jerry's on the call today, but for those of you who have an interest in the Black Country, Jerry Ling is your Senior Kickstart District Account Manager for for Black Country. So what's our role? What do we do? So really, just in a nutshell, our main focus is to work with you as employers, and also gateway organisations to help you support you to fill the roles that you've created within the Kickstart programme. And I think it's just worth noting here that if you are going to create some Kickstart opportunities, once you've done that and you've had your approval and your vacancies go live, you will have a named account manager within the job centre to work with you to support you to fill those opportunities. So I think that's worth noting at that point. So how do I make an application to the Kickstart scheme? I'm interested. What do I do? Some of you on the call today may have already looked at some of the information, guidance and support that's currently available around Kickstart on gov.uk and various other internet web pages. So you might be aware of the suite of Kickstart YouTube videos, but the most recent one that was added walks you actually through the application process. Now, we're not going to show you the whole video today because we don't have time, and actually you probably don't want to see the whole video because it just walks you through all the buttons, but we're just going to show you the first minute, and once we've done that, we'll talk you through some slides around the gateway process, and then Lou and I will answer any questions that you've got. So if we just watch the first minute of the video and then we'll show you some slides. Thank you.
The £2 billion Kickstart scheme was developed to support young people at risk of long-term unemployment by creating new 6-month paid jobs. Thousands of employers have already signed up, but we want to encourage even more to invest in the next generation. Through the scheme, we are aiming to create 250,000 brand new jobs for young people, providing them with employment, training, support and a bright future. The type of job you create cannot be an existing vacancy. It needs to be a job that you have created because of the Kickstart scheme. You must also be able to offer more support to the young person you select than you might normally do through existing recruitment. This is because Kickstart is designed to help young people who may not have much experience of work and might need extra support at the start of their job with you. Employers can apply directly to the Kickstart scheme, offering any number of jobs, or apply through one of 900 gateways who will apply on your behalf. More information on gateways can be found at gov.uk/Kickstart.
Okay, thank you. So I said that's just the first minute of the video, but we will send the link out to you so you can watch the rest of the video in your own time. But there are also lots of other YouTube videos about how to make a good application. So there's lots of information out there, but that's just to give you a bit of a flavour of some of them. So over to Lou now, who's just going to talk through what the Gateway's role is in Kickstart.
Thanks, Anne, and afternoon, everyone. As Anne said, I'm Louise Thompson, the Senior Kickstart District Account Manager for Mercia. And really, it's just a couple of slides to go over and supplement the video and information that Anne and Richard have covered. And also just to outline, there will be direct links to supplement this presentation that we're going to add. So as I say, that's going to supplement the just key points I'm going to go over. So before I expand on the Gateway role, you can apply for a Kickstart scheme, as we've just covered, by applying online yourself or applying through a Kickstart Gateway who is already working with the Kickstart scheme. So a Gateway can be any type of organisation, as we know, such as a local authority, college, a trade body. So as I said, it's around those two options that you have, and I'm going to slightly expand now on the role of the Gateway. So if I could just move to the next slide. Okay. So there are two main roles of the Gateway organisations, and in summary, a Gateway acts as an intermediary and applies for funding on your behalf. Some of the key points I want to highlight on the slide is they gather information from you about the job placement you'd like to offer. They use the information to submit an online application on your behalf, and any relevant payments, admin costs to do this is not at all in any way presented to you. There's no employer cost to you. It is all covered by the DWP. So the relevant payments are made by the DWP to your Gateway, for example, the person's salary, and then that is pulled through the Gateway's responsibility to you. So as an employer, you have that intermediary to act and manage that. Okay, next slide. Okay, so once approved, you may then go on to use your Gateway for the next phase. And Richard touched on this around the expertise and onboarding and employability support that is already there in amongst colleges and other trade bodies and organisations I've mentioned with Gateways. The wraparound element of the placement is essential. It's funded through that £1,500 payment. As I say, that can be discussed with your Gateway in a discussion how that's proportioned, or if the Gateway delivers that in full. Next slide. And as I've just mentioned, equally, if you've applied directly and not through a Gateway, you can still use many organisations, including colleges, that are here today to provide that wraparound support and employability, which is an essential requirement of the Kickstart scheme. Alongside that, as Richard said, the route to filling those vacancies, and Anne has mentioned, is you will get support with a named employment advisor dedicated to support to present those vacancies to young people, and the types of activity that we're doing. And just a snapshot of that is like mentoring circles, jobs fairs. We've mentioned pre-employment support around those vacancies. Employers come in the office to support presenting those vacancies to young people. So those are the types of activities and types of support the employment advisor will give you. As I've said, links are on the side. Please encourage you to ask any questions now, like Sean said. Put them please down in the conversations or ask myself and Anne now. As I said at the start, very brief overview. We've got Anne, myself and Jerry that can support you with those two options. Really dedicate, as I say, an overview to supplement this. But today it was just a quick snapshot of those two options and what the role of the Gateway undertakes. Has anyone got any questions for myself, Anne and Charmaine now? Is there any on the sidebar, Charmaine? Okay, hello. We've got somebody. Oh, sorry.
We've got one specific one,
Yeah.
but it's about a specific vacancy. So I don't know if we might want to cover that one separately.
Yeah, what we'll do then is to take that link for the particular area, Charmaine, and assure you we'll directly have a look at that. So give it to myself and or Jerry. Is there any other ones that we could perhaps have a look at? So we are currently recruiting the rest of our Kickstart vacancies. We've started for already, but have no name contact. We'll get that resolved. We will put on the chat your direct senior Kickstart account managers for Black Country, Birmingham and Mercia. So please, as I say, and Amy's just added the direct link for the inbox. So any issues like that, please just email into that generalised inbox or contact myself and Jerry.
Lou, we've got one about struggling to get a response when we asked if we could increase the vacancies. So maybe if we run through how you would apply for further vacancies.
Right, okay. That option depends whether you're a gateway or an employer directly. To make it as brief as possible, you can do that directly through myself, Anne and Jerry, by undertaking what we call a variation to your bid. You still would have to apply through application of what the job is, the additional placements, why, the employability offer again, so it goes through the full application, but it's a quicker, streamlined process where we will manage that and directly send it to our national team. As I say, it can be a different process for gateways because we have got the option of reviewing what's in your existing bid and flexing it, but today I wouldn't want to overcomplicate that now, and with individual cases go through that through myself, Anne and Jerry, but in briefly you can do that and we can support you with it. Any other ones?
It doesn't look like there's anything else, Lou.
Okay, is there anything that Anne, Charmaine, Richard, that you'd like to add before I hand over to? I think it's
thanks,
Marie.
Lou. I suppose the only thing that I would add to that is that, you know, as an employer, you have a choice about which route you go down with this. If you prefer to be completely supported in the process through a gateway organisation, we can signpost you to gateways. I mean, Graham's put on the sidebar then. Graham is a gateway organisation, Telford College. Clearly, if you're in the Birmingham area, you would want, I would assume, a gateway in the Birmingham patch. If you're an employer in the Shropshire area, you'd probably want to be signposted to an organisation such as Graham's. We can help you do that. You don't need to worry about who are the gateways that we need to go to. But equally, if you're interested in becoming a Kickstart employer in your own right, I guarantee that you know, Lou, Anne, or Jerry on the call here today will support you through that process. We'll make sure that we hide as much of the wiring as we possibly can for you to make that transition a smooth one.
Yeah, and Richard, just to add to that, we put down on the chat the full list of gateways that can be found. So as you say, you can use that link to look for the full list of gateways in your area.
Okay, thanks Richard and Lou, and I appreciate that, Anne. It's normally a difficult session where you never really know what we're going to get back. All I would do in terms of facilitating today, the employees that have joined us today, one, it is a big thank you and reiteration from myself and Richard. We do appreciate you putting your effort in, and equally we've been bold enough in terms of the Combined Authority and DWP putting these sessions on for employers to give us, you know, on the chin feedback. And what that means is you're able to call out the process if it isn't good enough for you at this moment in time. So Ishmael, it was good to see you being brave enough to put the first comment on there that said, you know, sometimes it has been a bit clunky on occasions. We're here now to give you account management. We're here now to look at improving the process, and here now to sort of take it forward so that you can be advocates to increase that reach further across employers and case study examples. So please feel free to carry on using the chat where you've got specific examples that something's broken down for you, and Anne and the team with Louise will pick those up individually and come back to people individually to support what those solutions need to be for you. So I suppose at this point, let's pick up the mood and let's look at a couple of employer examples where we've got some direct feedback from Marie at Sandwell College in terms of the host organisations, the colleges West Midlands, being an advocate and putting in place the money where the mouth is. And equally from a construction company, we have, I think Dora's joined us as well from Solihull, just to talk about what their experience around Kickstart has been as well. So Marie, Dora, do you want to kick us off next, please?
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you to Richard and Combined Authority, Sean, for allowing us to talk today. I only have one slide, so it's not death by PowerPoint, but we have been a direct employer for Kickstart. I have invited Daryl Mccarthy along from RMF Construction, as they have worked in partnership with us on our Kickstart, and definitely from traineeships, taking the candidates from that programme. So to introduce myself, my name's Marie Matthews. I'm Head of Adult Skills, Traineeships, Kickstart, and anything else they like to give me at Sandwell College. On the line, as I said, talking for us is Daryl McCarthy, and I also have Pardeep Kaur, if she'll come onto her camera a bit later, who is one of my Kickstart current candidates, who's going to talk about her experience. Just to show you a little bit of a breakdown of how we do our Kickstart programme, which a lot of the other colleges in West Midlands have taken on board, is to show you the smooth process of going through the Kickstart programme and how long it does take. As an employer, Sandwell College have now currently got 36 Kickstart people in place or either on their swap. What we did is we applied in early December last year for our grants, and within 3 weeks we were accepted to do our 36. Vacancies were then, job descriptions were then set up in the December, and referrals started coming in from national very early on in the December, January. I put a swap in place which enabled all of those candidates to undertake training that would get them further employment within colleges, universities, sixth form centres. So we did safeguarding training, equality and diversity, customer service training, and then we embedded our EBS training, which is our student portals, safeguarding because of dealing with students, and also exam invigilation, because we have always have posts for exam invigilators that we created. This was a no-brainer for us because it was a natural progression from traineeships, and employers were taking them for the 3 weeks and getting £1,000 for that, putting them onto Kickstart and keeping them and getting 1,500, and then putting them onto an apprenticeship afterwards, which is a further 3,000. So this young person came with a lot of skills and transferable skills, and through the swap and the Kickstart gained valuable qualifications. During the employment, after the 3 week swap, included in that 3 weeks was their guaranteed interviews with heads of department, and they knew before the end of the 3 weeks which department they were going to be based in. We then put them onto a contract, and they started then a level 2 management, leadership and management qualification, and then they could choose a free level 3 or level 5 qualification, whether they wanted to do teaching and education or a level 5 mentoring and coaching. That is all available to you as well, so please link in with your local colleges with all of that free training once your Kickstart employee starts and they are working with you. They are then eligible for the further funding through the Combined Authority. They only work 25 hours a week, so they've got lots of extra time to be doing qualifications and assignments, and you can probably speak to Pardeep about that. They then go into a department, start their qualification and their paid employment with us, with a view to going on to an apprenticeship or even employment within the college, and there's several of them going into employment. With the first cohort, we had a lot of graduates attend. 2 opportunities were teaching assistant roles or a business development role, a business support role, which could have been estates. It's not just business administration. So the 2 positions the 2 opportunities were sanctioned through national DWP, and that's what we've used. We haven't changed any of those. We've just reopened and closed the opportunities. So once they're done, and they're on the system, and you just work with DWP to open them. I've done 4 different cohorts of learners through the swap and onto Kickstart. And as I say, we have got our 36 candidates now that are going to be starting on Kickstart before December. I'd like to introduce Daryl McCarthy now to talk about his experience with our traineeships and working from the construction. And after Daryl, we've obviously got Pardeep that will be talking to you about her experiences. Thank you, Daryl.
Hello, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes,
perfect. Daryl McCarthy from RMF. Just a very, very quick overview of our company. We've got 3 elements to our company, which is RMF Construction, Resource Solutions, and training. For us, Kickstart was the new buzzword. Everybody heard about it. Did we really feel as a company it was going to make such a difference? Probably not. But for ourselves now at present, we've taken on 8 Kickstarts in a small company, which is based in Birmingham. And to be honest, it's been absolutely excellent. We couldn't believe the quality of the candidates that we received. When we first thought about it, we looked at what would be negative. We'll have too many people. I heard someone saying earlier on, you know, they discussed how they went and done a work experience in an office and photocopying. We were thinking how much photocopying we would have to give them. We thought, you know, they'd be getting in the way of our day-to-day running of the company. So far, we've taken on 4 people who would be more qualified than myself. They've got 2 degrees, looking for an opportunity to get in. And every element of our company is now supported by Kickstarts, RMF Construction, Resource Solution, and RMF Training. So what we've done is created an internal traineeship where they are supporting the role, which takes away the normal risk element to any employer. We don't have the concern of, if we invest heavily into them, what are they going to do if they go on and leave? We've received funding that we can put into them that allows us to fast track the training to bring them up to the level. So us as a company have taken a step further now as well, where I know Marie pointed out it's the government guidelines is 25 hours that they do. We've increased that up to 38 hours and we're paying the uplift of the difference because it's been that successful for the company. I see comments floating about on the system, people finding difficulties and so forth. I think if you read reviews, whether it's on hotels, restaurants and everything, everyone has a different experience based on where their industry they're in and candidates. For us, it's a no-brainer. One thing that I've sent while I was sitting here is an email quick to our CEO. We'd only discussed it last week and we need to get the rest of our Kickstarts in before December because I wasn't aware it ended that quickly. So our projection is that we're going to take another 6 on. And the 6 that we will be taking on, again, it's not cheap labour. It's not, you know, to do admin roles. It's to put them in a development role, working along our experienced people. At the end of the 6 months, they go into full-time position. One thing that I would point out for us, we've had 100% retention rate over the last 5 months of people who've gone into Kickstart, where our average would probably be about 70% if we went out to the general market and recruited. That 70% we would have had to fully fund ourselves, put the money into training and take the risk element on it. So for me, solely as an employer, it's a no-brainer. You know, absolute no-brainer, and I encourage everybody to get involved. And as well as that, to think outside the box within their company. As I said, we got somebody who has a 2-1 in criminology. You know, I couldn't even spell criminology. Okay, we've got people, you know, a 2-1 in history. You know, so it's, you know, it's more than about photocopying. It's about, for me, this is a chance to get, for you to develop the future leadership of your company. of a different pathways to open up your recruitment to the younger generation, which we usually oversee and expect them to go and work in a McDonald's or a takeaway to kind of fill these gaps. So, you know, I'd highly encourage, you know, as we said, there's great access into so many different providers who can tap into the industry, you know, and really think big on this, because I know we are and we'll be pushing on. It's a shame it's going to end so soon, but, you know, I look forward to seeing, you know, what becomes of our Kickstarts in 18, 20 months, you know, when they are moved on to team leader and so positions. But thank you very, very much. You know, there's too much support on this forum today to advise you where to go and make your own opinion of it. You know, find a positive and don't, you know, use the support around us. But again, Marie, Sean, as always, thank you very much for allowing us to be a part. And I hope everybody picks it up and is successful as we are.
Thank you, Dara. Can I just introduce Pardeep Kaur? Pardeep is one of my Kickstart candidates or victims, and she's going to talk about her journey. So over to you, Pardeep, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's lovely to join you to share a little bit of my experience of what it's like to be working in the Kickstart program so far. So to give you a little bit of my background, I graduated from university last year and I studied Spanish and TESOL. Like a lot of other graduates out there, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to pursue, and I had been trying really hard to find a job, but as you all know, the situation last year didn't make it any easier. So I found out about Kickstart through my work coach at Job Centre, and I thought it would be, I was more drawn to this position because I had already done a summer job at a college before, and it was something that I really enjoyed, and I felt like the experience that I'll be able to gain here would be really beneficial in the future. And not to repeat what everyone else has been saying so far, but I really was expecting that maybe it's just going to be one of those jobs where you're just making a lot of photocopies, not really doing anything significant, but I'm really happy to say that that hasn't been the case. So to start off, what I did before I started working here is that I had to do a 3-week training course to prepare for the role. And I believe that had been really beneficial. So a lot of the training involved invigilation training, bus pass training, how to enroll students, safeguarding, just everything that would prepare me for this role. And it's been about a month that I've been working here. So I work in the traineeships department, and I would say it's been really good so far. A lot of the experience that I've gained has already made such an impact. I feel so much more confident than I did before I started working. And alongside work, I'm also doing an ILM course, which is a focus on being a good team leader, basically, which I believe will be really beneficial for whatever it is that I decide to pursue in the future. Regarding what it is that I'd want to do after the Kickstart program is complete, I have a lot of options. I could either pursue a teacher training course here at Samuel College, or I might decide to continue looking for work in an admin role. It would be great if I could stay on, but if not, I'm still really pleased with my experience here so far. I think everything that I've learned so far is going to be really beneficial for whatever it is that I pursue. So it's something that I would recommend for sure.
Okay.
Sorry, thank you very much, Pardeep. Thank you so much for attending today and having the nerve to go in front of nearly 50 people and talk about your experience. So thank you very much, Sean, and over to you.
Thanks very much, Marie, Dara, and Pardeep. I suppose, Pardeep, if you've got 30 more seconds, just for me, I think there's a slight bit of relevance, and hopefully it's not too personal. But what was your experience like pre the Kickstart placement when you were just looking for work and potentially not moving forward in life? How did that feel?
Sorry, can you repeat that again, please?
Just thinking about your time before the Kickstart placement and your search for work and probably being unsuccessful. How did that feel for you as a person?
I would say out of all the other experience that I've had, Kickstart was the most positive one. Just the way, like, the responses that I got was a lot quicker, and I was kept in the loop even when it was taking time to know what would be happening next. That was really useful.
Okay. I think from a combined authority perspective, and especially for me and Richard daily, we do this to try and benefit individuals, and equally what's been good on the call today, a number of employers are already starting on a Kickstart journey to try and do exactly the same. So I suppose our message back to you, Pardeep, would be, we're going to try our best. We're going to do as much as possible for you and all of your friends to try and make sure that we're making these opportunities available to as many young people in our region as we possibly can.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thank you. So at this point, we probably move over to our colleague Graham Reynolds at Telford College, just to give us a wrap up before we go on to our Q&A session, please, Graham, if that's possible.
Hello, can you hear me, Sean?
We can.
We can. For some reason, my webcam has decided to play up. So let me just try it again, or we might be in luck. There we go. Right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Graham Reynolds. I'm the business program manager for our employability and adult skills program, including Kickstart over at Telford College. We were approved to become a Kickstart gateway back at the tail end of 2020, and over the past 6 months, we've placed over 30 young people into Kickstart placements with a wide variety of different employers across Shropshire and over into the West Midlands. And we're currently promoting 55 active Kickstart opportunities with the Jobs Centre at the moment. So we're very busy as a gateway and supporting young people. Now, as a college and a gateway, we're kind of uniquely placed to support employers to best identify appropriate routes. As Nick mentioned earlier in the talk today, there's a lot of different opportunities, different programs that are available to employers, and it may be that an opportunity you have is better suited to a swap or for an apprenticeship, but we're here to discuss that with you and make sure that the opportunity that you have is best catered for. And you know, there's a lot of people on this call today who I recognise as employers we're already working with in one way, one shape or another, and we can support whatever your needs are to fill those employment opportunities you have. Now, with Kickstart, as a gateway, we can provide a full wraparound service to employers. So dependent on what your needs are, how you would like to support your young person throughout, we can provide additional training, additional support to make sure that that young person and yourself as an employer gets the most out of that 6 months period. We can manage your applications for opportunities directly with the Jobs Centre, and we work very closely with the Jobs Centre, and Lou, who was discussing opportunities earlier. We work very closely with her team here locally to make sure that the opportunities that you have are promoted to young people, and that we can identify those shining stars that are out there to fill your vacancies as quickly as possible. One of the things we also look at with our employers is to how we can progress them beyond. Now, they may not stay on with you beyond the 6 months of the scheme. However, there's other ways of progressing them, so be it apprenticeships or further training. And as a gateway and a college, we can support you with that. Now, it may be that you are interested in becoming a Kickstart provider in your own right without going through a gateway. That's fine. If you are looking for support from a college, get in touch with your local college, because they will be able to provide that additionality that will really benefit that young person whilst they're going through the Kickstart scheme. That could be a whole host of things. So it could be further training that's vocational based. It could be access to maths and English support. It could be additional employability skills. So it's all there designed to make sure that that young person at the end of the Kickstart scheme is a more rounded and employable young person wherever their next step may be. So as a college, we've had a fantastic time with Kickstart so far. We're looking forward to the months ahead, as we expect that as we go towards September, there'll be a lot more employers that want to engage with us, particularly with the knowledge that the scheme comes to an end in December. Yeah, if you're interested, what I will do, I will pop my details into the meeting chat. Very happy to have a conversation with you, how we can support in any way. And as I say, it's been a fantastic scheme so far. And I'll pass back to you, Sean.
Thanks very much, Graham. Much appreciated. So yeah, real big insight there in terms of the experiences we've had so far. I'm guessing now, conscious of time, we've probably got just short of 5 minutes. Any hands up that we can raise for any additional questions over and above what we've had in the meeting chat so far would be helpful. I'm always keen, rather than trying to reinvent the wheel with Richard, if any employers have got that good experience, which some have quoted today, how best do you advise myself and Richard to go out and further reach to the employer network to take your good experience to them? Again, could be your supply chain organisations, it could be your partner organisations, could be the people on the same business park as you. Any help and suggestions that we could use from your perspective would be much appreciated, I'm sure. Just looking for hands. We got anything? I think we're getting a question asked about local councils. Yeah, we've got all of our local councils operating as gateways currently. Already approved, so we can tap into the resources that they have at their capacity at the same time. We've got some help with the local enterprise partnerships and also chambers that operate in the areas. But again, I would just reiterate, we've got that generic inbox set up for everybody, and we will post it at the end just in case you don't need to scroll up all the way through the chat. Any specific questions you've got that you want to ask on a individual basis or on a generic basis, please put them into there at the same time as emailing the dedicated contacts that have been putting their details in the same time, because we just want to make sure that we share the messages consistently across the piece and that everybody gets the benefit of an answer that people didn't know. I don't seem to have any other hands, unless Lisa and Olivia, you can see anything for me. Doesn't look like it at the moment. Okay, so on that note, I suppose, yeah, anybody's got any additional questions, inquiries at wmkickstart@drep.gov.uk would be really helpful to us. Again, you don't have to be anonymous. Myself and Richard are big enough to be able to take the negative feedback as well as the positive stuff. The only way we learn and get things better for everyone is that if we do hear where we don't get it quite right first time round and we got the opportunity to fix it. Worst thing is that we don't know it's broken and therefore we can't fix it. I want to say thanks very much for all the presenters today. A massive thanks to Colleges West Midlands colleagues Andy Greenoff and Mary Rogers for allowing and enabling this session to be set up. Equally, we want to try and continue these on a monthly basis. So carrying on encouraging spreading the good word of the Kickstart programme through to the autumn and into the early winter, where we can carry on putting the places for individuals in situ. And then equally, what we're going to try and do is vocalise what Pardeep's story was so far today in other case study examples. So again, if you've got Kickstart placements in your organisations currently and you'd like that vocalised both from a company perspective and a young person perspective, we'd be glad to hear from you and amplify that message across our media platforms and hopefully some of our terrestrial news now that the football's finished. Let's get some other messages out there in society about young people getting jobs would be really helpful. So thanks again for everybody's participation today. Hope it's been really useful to you. and we will post the video onto YouTube and further amplify from today. So thanks everybody and have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks, everybody.